radioing now.
I was going to say.
Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper, you are Live from the Path.
And you are listening to Live from the Path. We're coming to you from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper. It's good to see you guys tonight. Hey, we got a heck of a show. Shoot, sorry, I had to do a hard cut.
Yeah.
My bad. But hey, it's a great show on tonight. First of all, Jon Acuff is on, and I'm gonna introduce you to Jon here in just a few seconds. And I'm really excited for this interview. Jon actually has, and so we'll get to talk to Jon in just a second. We have some Buva's got some Pope style advice. If you remember, the premise is somebody at the bar lied and said that Buva was the Pope, and so now there's 30,000 people on his lawn, and he's got to give them some sort of, pontiff type advice before they leave his yard. And so Buva's got some of that. We got some secular versus Solomon. We give you a proverb. You got to tell me whether it's a secular proverb or something from the Bible. And basically, do we know biblical wisdom, or are we just taking whatever shows up on the Twitter as something from the Lord,
Or from the bar pope?
Could be the bar pope. Dan's got some what's trending with Dan. We'll see what's going on in the world. It seems like it might be a little shifty. Dan, can you give us a quick preview of the stories?
Yeah, absolutely. There's authorities confiscated $3 million worth of Nike shoes from a Kentucky home.
Okay.
We got Bruce Willis's daughter walking around half naked in New York.
For the week, man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Big. First of all, you can't see me because I donated my camera to Jon Acuff because he's worth it. Jon is a blogger. He's a highly successful author. And he has agreed to come on the show, probably against better judgments. This is Jon Acuff. Hi, Jon.
Hey, guys.
First question, just with that introduction, we were kind of talking before the show, and the question is, what's on your business card? Or like if someone says, hey, I'm Steve, hey, what do you do? How do you answer that question?
I'll show you one of my business cards.
Okay.
It's a miracle of technology. So this is my business card. It is large and it's designed like a library card.
Uh-huh.
And it is letterpress, so it feels, impressive.
Yep.
It's got my books listed. So I don't really have a title. It says Acuff, Jon. I mean, it's like like you'd see in the back of a book.
Oh, sweet.
So I put it all together. I think the more awkward thing is when you meet people. This happened just the other day. Somebody said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a writer." They first think you're lying.
Right.
And they go, no, but like, what do you do for money? That's kind of what the page says. And then you go, and they go, what do you write? And you say, I write books, and there's still a lot of doubt and confusion, or that maybe I'm bringing that in my own insecurity.
Uh-huh.
But I just say I write books and I speak, and the speak part's the part people don't understand. I think they're like right now you speak or you go places with belts on and speak, and it's the latter.
I think their hesitation is who write books that live on a bench. Like there's just that occupation does lend itself to wide extremes of society.
Yeah, I write books in the library, the public library, because it keeps you humble. Because you're surrounded by millions of other books that some author was like, the world needs this book. And it's ended up on a shelf where a man in sweatpants at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday is thumbing through it. You're right. There is a wide swath of people that say, I write books. And it's wider now because of self-publishing.
Oh yeah. So, did you? Are any of your works self-published, or did you kind of from the get-go jump on a legitimate branding?
No, my first two books were self-published, and they were horrible. And I did them myself, and I just basically self-published for me was copy and paste blog. 98% of everything I wrote was considered the best of. It's like when Rolling Stone magazine does, the 200 best Beatles songs, and there's 400.
Yeah.
50% are on the best of list.
I feel kind of slighted, actually, because I think I paid money for one of them books. I don't recall which one it is right now.
No, you did not, sir, because you are not my mom. I know for a fact you do not own any of my self-published books.
Actually, she said that my son was a writer and I should pay for it. I was just doing what I was told.
Well, if she was selling them to you, then I don't know who that woman was, but she was most definitely not my mom.
Most of the story that I've just told there is not true.
Actually, I was going to be quite impressed with Acuff's guerrilla marketing. He sends out his mom with a bunch of books in his trunk. Hit the streets.
About moving units. About moving units.
Blog called Stuff Christians Like, and it's interesting because from my perspective, like, you carry a lot of influence. There's a lot of people that follow you on social media and stuff. And I guess one of the things I was wondering was, have you ever like felt the weight of that type of influence that you have with that many people kind of holding on to words that you send out there, even kind of passive things that you might throw out? Has the weight of that kind of ever hit you in an interesting way?
Yeah, it's funny you said the word interesting, because that's one of those words that can mean horrible or great.
Yeah.
Like if you ever tell a buddy your idea and they go, huh, interesting, it means they either hate it or they like it. And usually it's the hate. But for me, no, I mean, I guess the weight of it's a weird thing, because I try not to look down. Like, I try to walk across it and just ridiculous stuff, because I never want to lose that idea of that it's just fun. And you should never take yourself too seriously. And I don't like when folks that get some influence just get drunk on it. I go through that every now and then. I needed like 3 followers on Twitter to become a jerk. I have a low jerk threshold, so I try to have fun with it. I try to remember it's the internet. I try to remember that most of this stuff is temporary, so I try not to define myself by it, and just have fun with it.
Actually, I was going to ask you a little bit, like, because with the sheer number of interactions on social media you have, like, every once in a while I'll read one and think there's got to be days when you're just not interested in doing that. So do you keep like 15 in the can, that you can just throw out if the day's really not lending?
You sure haven't been tweeting a lot lately, and I wanted to say, well, I'm writing a book. Like, I can only do so many bear attacks jokes. And so, yeah, there's definitely days, where I just, there's nothing funny for me to say. And it's not that I want to write emo poetry that sounds like The Cure. It's not that I want to write something sad instead. It's just, there's some days where you just don't have it. I try to schedule stuff out to the best that I can, but I like the live in the moment stuff. That's why I live tweet stuff like the Grammys, because it's fun. I like that challenge. So yeah, but there's definitely days, especially blogging. Blogging is fun for the first day you blog. Every day after that is hard. The first day you're like, I got a blog, I registered, like I already got business cards, and you're telling all your friends, and you're looking at Google Analytics and becoming a credible reading from like Guam. And then like day 3, you're like, man, every day I have to do content, and this is tiring. So yeah, it comes and goes.
Yeah, I mean, I was just it has to be difficult, especially kind of with the type of stuff that you do. I mean, you could only see Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the airport like once every few months, like it just doesn't walk into your lap. And there's got to be times where you feel like people have an expectation to be able to hear from you, and I don't know, you feel like you have to do something, and I don't know, that just seems like it might be difficult at times.
I think it is, and I think part of it's just taking breaks, and part of knowing that, like, there's never going to be a time where you tweet something that somebody doesn't misinterpret or not like. I tweeted one time, I think I said something like, if I was a pig, I'd be so upset about how in Renaissance. Like, do you remember 10 years ago we went through the mullet Renaissance, where like everything was a mullet joke, and there was like websites devoted to it, and they had like flash intros, and it was like, mullets, you never hear about mullets now. They're kind of on the downside. So I said that about bacon, and somebody was like, well, I thought only sinners should fear death. And they like turned into this deep theology, and I was like, are you talking about Christian pigs, like a heathen pigs? And so I try to remember that you can't write or create something not to offend or not to bother somebody, because and satire is like that. If you try to explain satire to somebody, you murder it. So there's times when I'll write something knowing some people aren't just going to get this, and I'll do rap references, or I think tomorrow's post mentions Bobby Brown song,
Yep.
not in that generation, and that's okay. Like I'll do a Z Cavaricci reference, or I'll mention Flight of the Conchords, and or that Cinderella runs Disney like Jay-Z runs New York, and I'll say that in a speech, and I'll know that there will be people that come up to me and go, I had no, like, what did that mean?
Yep.
And so I try to have fun with it, and my wife keeps me sane and nice. I mean, the number of mean tweets she said, I don't think you should tweet that. I mean, I don't know if that's in Proverbs 31, but it should be.
Yeah, no, that's a good woman.
Actually, I was going to ask you about that too, because we talk about that on the show quite a bit. Like it's there's a lot of information that you can get out there, especially for information on how to live your Christian life or practical things or whatever. And like it seems like the cesspool of the worst of Christianity shows up in the comments section. Hard to stay out of the comment section of your own blog. Like yours is kind of actually tame. I look for it to see if there's fights brewing every once in a while, and I don't generally run into them. But it seems like you did an article for CNN a little while back, and the article was fantastic, and then the cesspool began inside the comment section. And
those were rough. Those comments were. I try not to get into those. That's an interesting idea in general, like the shift in our culture. Like 50 years ago, musicians, like thousands of people weren't commenting every day about the thing they were doing. Same with authors. I had a friend say, hey, you want to know what Kurt Vonnegut told me? And I thought, that was a dope way to start a sentence. Yes. And he said, well, Kurt Vonnegut said, Mark Twain would have killed himself if he had Amazon reviews. Like the thing you create and can put 1-star reviews next to the buy button, like right up next to it. That's new. And so I try not to get too caught up in it, especially like CNN article, or like YouTube comments. I never look at YouTube comments.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the first rule of the internet. And I never try to change people's minds if they're, the times somebody called me a name the other day in a Facebook message about something, and ironically enough, they were saying that I had been mean to somebody else, and they felt like calling me the name was the best way to be nice to me, I guess. And so I responded, and not mean, and kind of responded, and they never responded back. So 99% of the time, when I waste my time trying to go, oh, let's have dialogue, they don't want dialogue.
Yeah.
They just wanted to throw a rock. And the other thing is the internet makes people out book or some other, big Christian. People can get really mad because it's easy to hate somebody that you don't really know. They've never met Rob Bell. They've never had a coffee with him. They're not his neighbor. He's just an idea. He's got, his whole name is in bold letters to them, and so they can throw rocks. And so the internet's been weird to change that.
Actually, you know what? I run into that quite a bit, and it's actually a realization I think that I've been through myself here recently is like, especially when it comes to the differences in denominations and ideas on things and all that kind of jazz is like everybody has some point in their theology that's just, it's not right. And you don't know what it is, but we can't all be right. And you know what I'm saying? There's got to be some point in your theology right now, it doesn't matter what it is, that it's not jiving. It's not correct. You just don't know what that is. And so like, and like, I think you're right. If you put it in perspective of he's a guy that have a coffee with him, see where he's coming from, or even just talk to him and treat him with some, a little bit of respect and dialogue. Maybe we wouldn't have such the cesspool in the comment area,
Well, yeah, and I think the reality, to your point, none of us are going to get to heaven and God's going to go, you got it 100% right. Yeah. You figured me out. I'm mysterious and huge and massive and all creative, but you got it right. You batted 1,000%. You're the one. But sometimes we have that ego, and sometimes, I've written about this before, sometimes Christianity for some people is like a bully learning karate. Like they were already a jerk and now they're a jerk for Jesus. And that just, all of a sudden they have a new way to beat you up. And so that's something that I try to be careful in conversations to that.
Has there ever been a conversation that you've started that you wish you hadn't?
Many, like a lot of them. I would say that one that really sticks out to me is I did this idea, which was complete satire, about sometimes in music people start in gospel, and then they move up to country, and then they move up to pop. Like that's kind of the ladder. Like so, like Katie Hudson became Katy Perry, and Jessica Simpson's first album was gospel, and she moved up to pop. And she was now she had gone to country. And so I did this whole post about, are we ready to take her back to Christian? And I did this whole thing like, this was when her sister was married to the bass player from when she come, all this stuff. And people showed up out of nowhere to say some horrible things about her. And even though I hadn't said those things, I had created an environment where people could say that.
Yeah.
So for me, that was one of those shifting points where I felt like I realized there's two ways to do it. You can either seed the clouds for conversations, like meteorologists seed clouds for rain, or you can chum the waters for sharks. And there's enough shark Christian blogs out there that I don't want to be another one. And the other thing I'd say is that there are some conversations that are too big for Twitter. Some conversations are too big for a blog post.
Right.
Some topics where I won't take the thing you care most passionately about and try to cram it into 3 sentences and think I've captured your whole story. I'd much rather talk to you about it face to face.
Right. There's things that belong.
Yeah.
So with the various things you got going on in life, how do you find balance in what you're doing? Because like a lot of the things that you're talking about, I think you're very successful in motivating people to live more the life that they're in. It's not it doesn't always call them out of what they're doing, but even to just be more a part of the life that they're in. But they're how do you, with all the stuff you have going on, protect balance in your life?
Poorly. That's my whole answer. No, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm in a new season of life. For the first time in 16 years, I don't have a boss.
Yeah.
I don't work at a company. So that's new. I'm only about 8 months into that experiment. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I find community when I don't go to an office? I've always had at least a workplace community. We try to run a couple times a week, and we're not going to win any marathons, but it's really about, I can't speak for other guys, but I suck at friendships.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I'm good at. It's not natural to me. And so I'm working hard to be, this guy's friend and have him be my friend. And so that's part of that balance. And then it's this constant kind of reinvention of at least every few weeks sitting down with my wife and going, okay, am I traveling too much? And, where's something that's out of balance? I don't believe in perfect balance. I think that's a myth. The idea that you'll always have the same balance and it'll always be perfect. I think that I'll speak less during this season of my life because I've got young kids and I want to be around. And maybe when they graduate high school, my wife can come with me, I'll speak more then. So I'm trying to figure out the rhythm of each season.
Day, and it looks like you're involved with a little bit of social media direction for companies. Like you're available to kind of help out in that area. Do you feel like the social media thing is going to saturate at some point and it's just going to be too much for everybody, or has it got some legs that can run for a little while?
No, I think it already is too much for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, personally speaking, I'm not saying to myself, I hope another blog, writes 1,000 posts. I think I think we've reached some degree of social media saturation already, where you're seeing, people aren't reading blogs the way they used to read blogs. When I started Stuff Christians Like in 2008, Instagram didn't exist. Pinterest didn't exist. Twitter was barely around. And so those things have impacted the way people read blogs. There's a degree of social media exhaustion with some of it. Some of it's gotten even better. I mean, I'm able to do more with video now, and I've got friends helping me do that. Private Facebook groups. I've got 2 groups, 30 Days of Hustle and one called Dreamers and Builders. And I've been blown away by the people that are in those groups have done. And so I think there's always going to be something new people are excited about. But I think that there are a lot of people that feel overwhelmed and feel exhausted. And they call it, I've heard the phrase profile exhaustion, where people don't want to sign up for one more thing like, okay, Plaxo. Now I have to be on Plaxo, or like, here's my 27 LinkedIn following. There's always a new platform. So I think it'll balance itself out, but I think that today is the smallest social media will ever be. I think it's only going to get bigger tomorrow.
Man,
Yep.
speaking of that video, Jazz, it looks like you were live streaming. What is the 6 club, the 6 a.m. club there last week? How'd that go?
That was fun. We had about 75 folks, and it used to be the 5 club, but we realized that to ask your friend at a church to open up the building at 4:30 a.m. is a good way to lose a friend, and so we bumped it back to the 6 club. And I liked 5 club as a name better because it sounded like Fight Club.
Yeah.
It kind of had a ring, and 6 club does not sound like that.
No, it doesn't.
6 Club sounds like there might be muffins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, John.
Yeah, it's a different vibe, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's 75 folks in Nashville that are all working on a dream. And if you can't get up half an hour early to figure out what you want to do, then you haven't figured out the.
I got to get up earlier for 15 years, and every time I'm like, well, no, maybe not today.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you a quick story.
It requires you to get up early.
What's that?
Your job requires you to get up early.
No, not really. I don't have to be up early. I don't know. I always feel great if I get up early in the morning. Like it feels like something's been accomplished. Actually, so in fact, I read something today. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was that, there was an Army officer or whatever giving advice. He said, make your bed. So you accomplish something right away. And I thought, yeah, I like to get up and accomplish something. Even eating breakfast. I skip a lot of breakfast, and I feel like eating breakfast is like a big accomplishment for me. And I've conquered the day so far because I've eaten something. But most of the days, I'm like, well, maybe breakfast can wait. There's another couple meals coming around. It's poisoning personality
That sounded like there's going to be some Taco Bell extra meals thrown in there. After dinner meal.
You know what happens, though, is like I don't really let breakfast go. I just shift it to like a 3:30, 4 o'clock stub meal, of which I can't prepare for, so I have to eat out. So, like, it's the double poison. I not only did not get up early and eat, but then I bought something I shouldn't have purchased with money I didn't have and things that my body shouldn't use, all at 4 in the afternoon. And so I ruined dinner that my wonderful wife has prepared. It's rough. It's like cheating on the
It's
other
a
meals.
Rolling Stone.
Yeah, it's meal adultery.
It really is. That's a slippery slope.
Mike was telling us a story just before we actually got on the air with you about how you poisoned his phone.
Yeah, here's the deal. So I downloaded Quitter. Quitter came available on an audiobook, and it was free. And I thought, heck yeah, free Quitter. And but I didn't playlist it. Like I just kind of threw it in with the rest of my tunes. And so I listened through it. While I was driving because I drive a lot for work, and I really liked it. But it got cut in my shuffle. And so like I'd put on my headphones to go mow the lawn or something, and I'd be rocking out to like Walk the Dinosaur, and then here comes Acuff, and he's like, Chapter 7.
I like was your reference, Walk the Dinosaur.
That was the prequel. So anyway, like I'm rocking out, mowing the lawn, and then Acuff is like, Chapter 7, you can't quit your job. I'm like, whatever, Acuff, I'm mowing the lawn, And then
stay out of it, Acuff.
It actually progressively got worse, Like I'd go ahead and I'd skip past him. No offense, but I'd skip past him because I'm mowing the lawn, And like 5 songs later, he come rolling back in with like Chapter 8. You don't hustle. All right, I tried to skip past, the Quitter book, and like it just go to another chapter, and it was like it had taken over my phone. So I eventually had to take it off of there.
Well, I want to tonight. Live apologize for giving you a free product that I put my heart into.
Sorry, it cut into your lawn mowing.
Could your next question be how our generation is getting more entitled?
Hey, this story was about me, Acuff.
That's true. He redirected it.
That's what you learn in the media training. Redirect.
You get on Skype, suddenly you're a king. Hey, so what's going to be in the Jon Acuff store on your website that's yet to come?
That is a great question. Probably, I don't know, probably T-shirts, definitely some digital stuff. I hear a lot of curriculum, so I'm not sure yet. My wife and I talked about that the other day, and she said, I feel like T-shirts are just an ego play. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I think you just want people walking around wearing something you've said. And I told her, I love you. Thank you for your wisdom. I said that eventually. First off, so people need soft, buttery soft T-shirts. There's not enough ways to get creative T-shirts on the internet. We need one more additional way. So I don't know what's going to be in there. Any suggestions? Were you about to pitch one?
Well, we were talking about it. We thought maybe some sunglasses with your face up in the right-hand corner, but you're right. I mean, that kind of falls under the same line like your wife was saying.
I'm
not above that.
I was thinking barbecue apron, but like I mean,
somebody made as a joke, what do you call it? Cufflinks with my head on them, and they were like a cufflink. I'm like,
If they,
a lovely pun as an accessory.
if they bobble-headed as well, I'd probably buy one.
I don't have one. I have I could show you that I have a cardboard cutout that my kids have decorated. I'll move the camera and show you
Okay.
what that looks like. Let's see. Can you see it in the corner?
Hold on. Yeah, oh yeah, there it is.
It's got "kick me on the face" and the quitter shirt. So they are pretty impressed by me.
Wait, I mean, did they have that made, or did someone else make that of you and you just brought it home with you?
Zondervan made them. Yes, you forget they exist, and then you come home late at night, and there's a thin, terrifying man in the corner of a room that you forgot is made of cardboard.
Help me, I'm being robbed by a handsome guy who looks just like me.
Who's 90% to scale.
Apparently he's been kicked. I don't know what happened.
But he dresses well.
I said to Zondervan, hey, thanks for making me shorter. If there was a direction you could have overcorrected on, height, go up.
That's true. Oh, you get to Photoshop your cardboard cutout with make it a little beefier, you know?
Did they ship those to you? Like, did it come in the UPS?
I think so. I mean, they come in a flat. They don't come put together. There's a technique.
That's slightly less awkward than putting them in your car.
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like that's more awkward to have to put yourself together as a cardboard cutout. Like you're spending time.
There's some meta narrative there or something. People say that. So.
It's got to be a real surreal moment when you arrive in the mail.
Open up the package. It's me.
I'd say it's less surreal when your wife goes, "Where are we going to keep all of these?" Like, which one do you get? Which kid do you love the most? Am I right?
Shoot, I didn't catch it. Does it go down to your shoes? Is that like going to seriously date your style 3 years from now?
No, my style's pretty simple. So they're like white shoes. The jeans are baggier because I didn't live in Nashville when they made it. You have to wear skinny jeans in this city. And then it's got a V-neck and no ring on the fingers. So apparently he's single. This is Bachelor John.
We'll see the edits. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live from the Path. And you can see John all the time by going to acuff.me. That's a king of Skype type of web address there, John. acuff.me, or you can go to Stuff Christians Like. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and we hope to talk to you again.
Well, thanks, guys. They were fun questions. They were unexpected. I felt like we brainstormed some good ideas for the store, and I was able to apologize for slighting one of the hosts with a gift.
Yeah, it wasn't real smooth, but I accept it.
Critiquing the apology. It wasn't the best apology I've heard, but I'll take it.
Thanks, John.
That was John. Thanks, John.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
But did we ask everything?
I don't know. I tell you what. Here's the deal. We have the interview skills of like a two-legged lizard. You know what I'm saying? But the legs are on the opposite. They're on the diagonal. Yeah,
that's true.
We limp it along. It seems like it's going to be interesting because it's a two-legged lizard, but it has the opportunity to fall on its face at any time.
No, here's the deal. That guy makes anybody look good. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a good interview on the other side. We could have been totally lame and partially were.
I like marshmallows. What do you think?
He rescued it.
What are your thoughts, John?
That's a skill. You've been listening to Live from the Path. Again, go check out John. Go to Stuff Christians Like or acuff.me. There's a lot of you can follow him on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. There's a lot of humor in what he does. There's also a lot to get out of it. So approach it with some being ready to be entertained with some grace for the conversation.
I think Ben's right. Like actually the whole reason that I want to invite him on the show is because our tagline is honest faith, fierce grace, and donkeys, and I feel like Jon does a very good job of representing an honest faith. You know what I'm saying? He presents a lot of humor and honesty. And even when it makes him look silly, it's from a humble perspective, and I think he does a great job.
And that fierce grace actually, and I didn't get to tell this while he was on, but the fierce grace was actually from a blog post that he had. So when we first started the show, we have no skill or anything, and we don't know how to. It's an internet radio, so anybody's put on there, and so we're like, we don't know what to talk about, and so we kind of just started looking at Jon Acuff articles, and this would have been 3 or 4 years ago, and say, okay, what's he talking about? Because obviously people are interested in that. And we'll just kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
And one of his blog posts was fierce grace, was kind of the context of this blog. And it was an excellent art. What we're actually pursuing in our conversation. Are we representing? Are we being gracious in our conversation in representing the grace of Christ in those discussions, even when we're having the honest discussions that frankly can rub up against some people's comfort level. So anyway, very, very cool. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
What's trending in the world?
All right. Let's start with a nice one. This is a pretty simple one. Authorities confiscate $3 million worth of shoes from a Kentucky home. Police are investigating after finding $3 million worth of missing shoes at a home. Like I said, officers with the Radcliffe, Kentucky Police Department confiscated thousands of pairs of Nike shoes. They were scattered in front of the home. The shoes were supposed to be shipped in 2009 from a Nike distribution center in Tennessee to another one in Texas. They never made it. They were going to take them to a flea market.
Okay.
I mean, how do you have like a semi-truckload full of shoes?
Yeah, this all sounds legit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, who do you buy that from? And what makes you think they're... Anyway, here's the
That's
question.
one heck of a trench coat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I've got some shoes.
Mr. Fantastic is just going, hey.
Here's the question. Is it ethical to buy or sell something that may have been stolen by someone else? I mean, they had to assume they probably bought these cheap,
Right.
and there were a lot of them. So, A, no, it's not ethical. Jesus whipped the money changers, and he'll whip us too. B, what's the big deal? I steal stuff from work all the time. Or C, why not? They already received the insurance money. It's a win-win for everybody.
These are some rough choices.
I feel like all three encapsulate me on some level.
I know you.
But I have to answer A. Like, I gave up my favorite pastime of downloading illegal music off the internet based off that exact premise. I didn't know where they got it from or whether it was stolen, and frankly, I think I stole it. And
Jesus
so,
might whoop you.
yeah, so it wasn't for the fear of the money changer rebuke, but I think I was I'm an A on that one.
Yeah. I'm a straight A. You got to err on the side of caution there.
I'm going to go A.
Likewise, A. But was that whip money changers? Is that what we're doing?
Well, I just had to make it sound sensational.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a motivation, It's like,
Jesus made a whip. You won't believe what happens next.
Number 7 really changed my life.
you won't believe it. That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think that we steal things all the time, or people do. I shouldn't say we, but you just take stuff and not think about it. Something from work.
Thief, like terrible time thief.
Yeah. I mean, that's someone's paying your salary to be there, and then it's
Of course,
a
they
theft.
kind of figured it in that I wouldn't work. As Acuff would put it, I wouldn't hustle the whole time I was there.
So you're like, it's the win-win thing? Or
Kind
they
of
got insurance,
that's where I'm saying I may be slightly convicted with the C. Like, hey, they paid me anyway. They kind of figured it in. Productivity,
They know I'm no
like
robot.
30%. So anyway, I was wrong about that. A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the proper answer. Maybe not necessarily the motivation behind Jesus whipping, but don't if it's stolen. It's
We
stolen,
gotta
right?
we gotta put Jesus in the show somewhere. We're just
Gotta
be
get some Jesus.
sensationalists.
All right, here's another one. This one get a little risque here, right? Bruce Willis's daughter protests social media by walking topless in public. All right, Scout Willis recently walked around the streets called instances of abuse, and the abuse was she had posted a picture with a couple friends who were topless, also a picture of herself that was in a very sheer top, so it must have been pretty see-through. In her protest, she walked around topless, pointing out that it's legal to walk around New York State, which I didn't understand that. Topless, never heard that. But it's not in social media, and she thought it was ridiculous. She claims back in the 1930s, men's bare chests were considered taboo, but society changed, and wonders why 80 years later women can't achieve the same for their chests. She says, why can't a mother proudly breastfeed her child in public without feeling sexualized? Why should I feel overly exposed because I choose not to wear a bra? She concluded by saying that it should be a woman's right to choose how she represents her body.
I'm sorry, was she breastfeeding at the time?
No, she just over in our.
It is. That is. Yep.
Generational difference for sure.
Yep.
On the youngers, how they look at that. Anyway, here's the question: is there a difference between publicly exposing a man's chest and publicly exposing a woman's chest? She's really saying there's no difference.
Okay.
A, of course not. We're all created in God's image and should be able to appreciate the beauty and innocence of the human body without thinking sexual thoughts. B, absolutely. Men are pigs and cannot be trusted. No matter what the context, even if it's breastfeeding, men tend to be turned on sexually by sight. Or C, as long as you call it art or natural, you can do whatever you want and it doesn't matter.
There's the Dan plane. Dan plane is coming into the runway.
Buva, what are your thoughts?
Here's my mind on lady nudity. Sadly, I'm gonna have to go with B. I think that men are in general, men are pretty much pigs. Myself included in that sometimes, and I that's just me being real.
I'm a pig.
Yeah, I'm a total pig. I'm a joke. I know I am. And when this stuff comes to temptation and things that maybe it shouldn't affect people, and that's an absolute understandable point to take, that it shouldn't, but it does. And that's the reality of it. And as long as it does, it needs to be stopped because of the fact that that's bringing on unnecessary temptation. I get that some ladies think that's unfair. I get some dudes think that's unfair. But when it comes down to it, if you've got that situation, most of those gals are going to be completely upset when the man does sexualize them. So I'm going to go.
But I know zero exceptions to the B rule. We're all pigs.
B.
I mean, I'm going with B with the caveat that I actually would support public breastfeeding. So do whatever you want with that. Because it can be done without being out and about.
You can do it modestly.
Yes.
Yeah. There are some who are pretty not modest,
and a lot of times they're protesting something. But like the people that I know that are strong advocates for that are they just want to be able to feed their kids. There's not an agenda to say I also want to breeze.
And the last thing in their mind, is being sexual. I mean, that's just
I'm not saying. I mean,
they're not thinking that, but every guy is going.
An ankle in an Arab country will do the same thing. I mean, there's women can moving on.
Boy, I expected more from you guys. You're all a bunch of pigs. All right,
You are too.
I am.
There we go.
Persecuted church.
Okay.
This is a lot of different news, but the one heading right now that's kind of trending is I'm trying to add an extra syllable in here. Sudanese, how you say that?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Officials told the media that a 27-year-old woman imprisoned and sentenced to death for being a Christian refusing to renounce her faith would be set free in a number of days. They changed their mind basically since like yesterday. Her father, which she hasn't seen for years, evidently was Islamic. She married a guy who was a Christian. The court decided it was not a real marriage, gave her 100 lashes. She's in jail, going to be a persecuted church from various countries, various places. It's been going on since Stephen and Acts, so it's not like new. It's been going on. So here's my question: what is the most appropriate way for Christ followers in America to respond to the growing persecution of our brothers and sisters overseas? A, pray for them to be strong, faithful, and have peace through the persecution. B, create a hashtag campaign that calls everyone's attention to their pain. C, pressure our government to get militarily involved in protecting innocent people. And I threw in a bonus D, there's nothing we can do, let's not talk about it and hope it'll never come here.
Ben, what's your go?
Yeah, I think it's straight up pray. I'm not sure our government inserting themselves into that is necessarily a will of God item. Yeah. I think you pray for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with A as well. Obviously, we're called to expect this. Jesus called us and told us that this is going to happen. No one should be surprised by this. Obviously, from a human perspective, we are, and we don't want to see it. But at the same point in time, from a biblical perspective, we are called to expect it.
Dave Herrick, you've spent time outside of this country.
Yeah, I'm inclined towards go join them.
That's actually what I was actually thinking.
I mean, pray certainly, but yeah, also
Go join them.
them.
Be
Yeah.
persecuted as well, like jump in jail with them. Is that what you're saying?
Remember them in chains as though in chains with them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I mean, unpack that. What do you mean? What does it look like to me?
It means getting to know their story. It means not just sending up a quick prayer and then going on and eating your Happy Meal. Their story. Meet with their family. Meet with the people who are involved in the situation, the decision makers. I mean, in this case, yeah. I mean, I know more to this story than I can really say at this point. But yeah.
Man,
So, sorry.
well, I feel like he knows more than I know. So actually, it's actually stories like these where I get I don't know, convicted of my American existence, I should say. I don't know that it's ever that I've ever let it come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that I've ever let that truth sit on me and actually bear something out apart from the prayer. You know, but I'd like to think that that's a work that God is changing in me. You know, like there has to be real and going, you know, I prayed. I feel like it's in the Lord's hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. Now, granted, I don't think you should go hauling over there, warrior style, without the Holy Spirit's blessing. But like, I don't know. I try. I guess when you pray about that, I guess I leave that door open as wide as possible and say, I'm up to whatever you want me up to. I don't know why you have this on my heart. I don't know why I'm praying for. There's so many things in the world that I should be praying for. I only hit the specific ones that I feel like the Holy Spirit has laid on my heart. So, I mean, the question goes, I don't know why you're laying this on my heart or what's going on, but, you know, if you got to hit me with something to help me realize what you got going, then I'm asking. Hit me.
Because it's hard to get to know the story. Like you say, you get to know their family. I mean, you know, here I am sitting in Johnston, Iowa. I can't go to where those 30 children have been kidnapped. I can't go to where this woman is. I can't go to where this guy. I mean, I don't know their language. I don't know their culture. I don't know the circumstances. All we know is what we read in the media, which was manipulated in some way to say something. You know, and they don't.
Almost every situation, and then be done.
I have a personal conviction to not pray for things that I'm not willing to get involved in.
I feel like that's
And
Find somewhere else to do your work.
yeah, it seems hypocritical, and I mean, I can't do that. So
dang.
Booby, you ever run into that?
Well, time for periods. Put, you know, I'm not going to praying on something if I'm not physically or mentally willing to get involved in it. And that's interesting to take. I would agree with the God in our own words and things.
I mean, these people's lives are on the line. I just don't feel right about just like, okay, God will bless and just bless those people. I mean, just really pray. You know, I mean, and part of that might be in the church today is we have no persecution other than, you know.
But like some of this new life caused some strife within the family. Mike has several nieces and nephews, ages 4 to 9, who have asked us repeatedly why we don't go to church with them, since the whole family goes together. Their mother has made it clear that they do not want the children knowing there is another option besides Christianity. Up first, Dave Herrick. Dave Herrick,